Let's look at oligopoly market. In oligopoly market, we have a small number of large firms that can either produce homogeneous products or differentiated products. There's entry barriers. So since we have small number of large firms, so there exists a lot of strategic interactions among firms in the market. There are a number of models, or there are different situations here. We will look at them one by one. The first one we will look at is called cartel arrangements. The idea here is that monopoly profits are the largest profits available in the industry. So since there are only a small number of us, suppose I'm firms, there are only two of us in the market. So why not let's collaborate to act like a monopoly, so we can make both us better off. So a cartel arrangement occurs when the firms in the industries cooperate and act together as if they were a monopoly. So there's a kind of collusion between us. So such kind of cartel arrangements might be tacit or formal, and it's usually illegal in Australia or in the US. An example would be OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. By the way, it's not OECD, okay. Another example would be International Air Transport Association. There are a number of conditions that can influence the formations of cartels. So we need to have a small number of large firms in the industries, so that make cartel feasible. And ideally, we want to have geographical proximities, and products are homogeneous. So consumer treat products produced by you and products produced by me as the same. And roughly, we are in the same stage of the business cycles. And certainly, we need entry barriers. It is difficult to enter the industries. Otherwise, if other business observe that we are making huge profit there, they will enter the industry, enter the market. Uniform cost conditions usually defined by the product homogeneity. So product same, so we have the same technology. So roughly we have the same cost conditions. So the cartel behaves like a monopolist. So they will choose the industry output following MR equal to MC. So MR is the total market. MR is derived from the market demand. MC is horizontal summation of each firm's marginal cost. So add each firm's marginal cost horizontally, and then set the price according to the demands. The optimal or most efficient output of each individual firm can be found by setting MR the MR equals MC for each individual firms. So which means firms might produce different outputs, and marginal cost of the last unit produced is equated across all firms. So it will be something like these diagrams. This is market demand. From market demand, derive the marginal revenue, which is twice steeper than the demand function. We observe firm 1, there are two firms here, they want to collaborate to form a cartels. So we observe firm 1's marginal cost and average cost, firm 2's marginal cost and average cost. And we can see that in our diagram here, firm 2 actually is more efficient. They have a low average cost curve. Okay, so from MC1 and MC2, we horizontal and sum them up, we get this. For example, say suppose it's this. So we get this quantity, move this to here, this quantity, and this quantity move to here, add them up, we get this point. Okay, that's what we mean by horizontally summing these two marginal cost curve. Okay, so now we are going to act as a monopoly in the market. So we have MR here, we have NC here, produced at this point, which means total quantity of this many. Charge a price, go from quantity up to the demand, get the price. So that's price. And this we derive a monopoly profit. Now the next step we need to do is to decide the share of productions between you and me. Okay, so I'm gonna go from this point to the left. Okay, to be intersect with each individual firm's marginal cost curve. This one, which means then go from that point down to the quantity. So that's the amount that firm 2 will produce. Go down, this is the amount firm 1 will produce. Okay. So now we have determined how many quarters firm 1 should produce, how many quarters firm 2 should produce. You can work out the profit. Go from quantity up to the average cost. So total cost of production is this many. Total revenue is this big one, big rectangle. So the difference is the profit. Similarly, for firm 2, the difference is here. We can clearly see that firm 2 is making a larger profit than firm 1 because firm 2 is more efficient at lower cost levels. So firms might earn different levels of profit, though combined profits are maximized. So if I'm the firm 1, I observe I'm making profit, right? But I observe firm 2 is making even bigger profit. So there's always incentive for me to cheat on the agreement. I agreed to produce Q1 unit. I'm gonna think I'm gonna produce slightly more than that to get more profits. So there's incentive for firms to cheat on agreement. Thus, cartels are, in this sense, is not stable. Okay. So there are additional costs facing the cartels, like formation cost, monitoring costs, enforcement cost, and cost of punishment by authorities. If somebody cheat, they need to be punished, and there's a cost associated with this. So when firms are deciding whether to form a cartel, they will weight the benefits of collusion, which is increase the profit, against these additional costs. Okay, let's look at kink demand. Let's start from, say, suppose at the moment I'm charging price Q, produce output, charging price P, producing output of Q. So I'm at point A. Now if I cut my price, then if everybody else does not follow my cut, demand for my product will increase by this many. However, because I'm cutting price of my products, my competitors will follow my cut. So the increase in demand will be smaller than if my competitors do not follow my cut. So the demand, when I cut my price, demand follow this schedule. Rather than this case, without consumers, without competitors follow the cut. Okay. Then, if I increase the price, say by $1 per unit, if everybody else follow my increase, demand will decrease by a smaller amount. If instead nobody follow my increase, demand will increase by more, or will decrease by more. Okay, so when I'm increase the price, my competitors will not follow my increase. That results in reduction, a bigger reduction of demand. So when I increase the price, the demand follow this. Follow these schedules. Okay, my drawing here is not very clear, but let me just make it clear here. So when I cut, because nobody follow, so the demand is steep. If I increase the price, everybody do not increase my price, follow my increase, so demand is flat. So now we see that the demand faced with my product is kind of kinked. It's not straight line, it's kinked. That's why this is called kinked demand curve model. Alright, from this kinked demand, we can work out the associated marginal revenue, something like this, and there's actually a broken point in between. And that's the MR curve, and I have MC. If my MC curve is this, so that's my MC curve, then I just follow MI equal MC, produce this many unit output, charge a price of this many. If my MC is at this level or this level, so in between here, I'm gonna produce an output this many, charge a price of this many. So when my marginal cost curve shift between this range, actually the quantity I want to produce, the price I want to charge does not change, or we kind of have these price rigidities in this range. Okay, this is what we call kinked demand models. So conceptually it seems fun. Unfortunately, there's a little empirical support for this. Okay, in the market, so we have dominant firms in the market, and the remaining firms follows these dominant firms. So in such cases, we can have what we call dominant firm's price leadership. Okay, what does it mean? The idea is that if suppose I'm the dominant firms and you guys are small, so the idea is that I'm going to let you guys satisfy the market demand, and I will grab the residual demand after you guys satisfy the market. It's fine for me because you guys are small. I'm the big one. Then for this residual demands, I will be the competitor. I will be a monopoly here. So I'm going to charge a monopoly price, and you will follow my pricings. Okay, let's look at the graph. So suppose that's the total market demand, and so the marginal cost of everybody else, of all you guys, which is also your supply curve, is this. So I'm gonna let you say for if price, so that's your supply curve. I'm gonna get all this demand after you guys satisfy the market. So I'm gonna shift this, move this path into here. Okay. So move this part parallelly to the left. So that's the residual demand. Okay, I'm going to satisfy this part of demand, and I'm the only supplier here. So I'm going to act like a monopoly. So from this residual demand, I derive the marginal revenue. And I also have this marginal costs. Say suppose this. For MI equal to MC, look at this. I'm going to produce, say, OA, QA amount. Charge a price, go from a quantity up the residual demand, get the price. And everybody will follow my price. So the total market demand is this many, go from price to the total demand. So it's QT. So I produce this many, or you guys produce this many. Okay, this is called dominant price. In addition to price competition, we can also have non-price competitions. So what is non-price competitions? Any effort made by firms other than a change in the price of the product in question in order to change the demand for the product. So any dimensions other than the price. So firms try to influence the non-price determinants of demand. For example, like tastes, preferences, incomes, prices of substitutes and complements, and number of buyers. So firms try to influence these factors of future expectations of buyers about the product price. Non-price variables can include any factor that managers can control, influence, or explicitly consider in making decisions affecting the demand for their goods and services. Any other these factors, for example, like advertising, firms can decide how much expenditures they want to use for advertising, promotions, location and distribution channels, market segmentations, loyalty programs, product extension or new product development. They can make a decision on these dimensions. Special customer services product login or tie-in, all this preemptive new product announcement. All right, in making such decisions, you might be wondering, how should firms make such decisions in the base ways. Again, follow MR equal to MC. Think in terms of margin. Just as the MR equal to MC rules was used to determine the optimal price, the optimal level of non-price factors is also found by equalizing at the margin. For example, the optimal amount of advertising expenditure. To find this, how much you should spend on advertising, you want to equate the marginal revenue from additional $1 of advertising expenditure with the marginal cost with that.